Update. Am I the a-hole for threatening to kick my soon-to-be wife out of the house? Original post. My fiancé, 27 female, and I, 30 male, have been together for 5 years now. We're getting married on October 25th, and we can't wait. We rarely get into fights or arguments, but this really just made me frustrated. My soon-to-be sister-in-law, 36 female, recently got a divorce and has been staying with us for the last 4 months. At the beginning, I was fine with it. Stay here for a couple of months, get situated, and find a place of her own. That does not seem to be the same thought my sister-in-law had in mind. She has not paid any bills or any expenses. I'll come home from work and my fiancé and her will be hanging out on the couch watching TV or having a girls' night every night. I rarely get any alone time with my fiancé anymore, other than sleeping together in the same bed. My sister-in-law has a full-time job and makes decent money, enough to afford an apartment. I got home from work last night, and there they were, just watching TV in the living room, eating takeout, didn't get anything for me, and I just blew a fuse. I said I'd had enough, and that my sister-in-law is a grown woman and needs to get a place of her own. My fiancé stood up for her sister and said it's not fair. I then told her, then you can go too, and you guys can get a place together. Eventually, I went to our bedroom, laid in bed, and eventually fell asleep. This morning, my fiancé was sleeping next to me in bed. I got up, got ready for work, and left. Am I the a-hole for threatening to kick my fiancé out? What should I be prepared for when I get home? Should I apologize for freaking out? Now for the top comments before reading the updates. Not the a-hole. Just the fact that they didn't get you any food is BS. It was an extreme example of discounting OP's presence in the home. Isn't that the truth? Was he supposed to prepare dinner? OP, honestly, this may be a blessing. A sneak peek at your future bride after the dust settles. Sounds as if you have 2 roommates. Let your fiancé determine which roommate she chooses. Frankly, I wouldn't give her a choice. She's already walked all over you for 4 months. Lol, you were a bit harsh, but overall not the a-hole. In what world is it not fair for a 36-year-old to be expected to live on her own, or at least contribute toward living costs? Your fiancé enjoys having her sister there, totally understandable, but she should enjoy you more than her sister. Otherwise, why are you getting married? I would apologize for how heated you got, but I wouldn't apologize for voicing your frustrations that have been building up. Your fiancé needs to choose who she wants to live with, you or her sister. When she answers that question, you'll know what to do. I would explain why you feel like you do, that she spends more time with her sister. Every day is a girl's night. What about date nights? Then she has a job and should pay her part of the expenses. Honest question. Over the last 4 months, have you and your fiancé had discussions about a timeline for her sister to move out? Or have you been agreeable the entire time? If yesterday was the first time you seemed bothered, then yes, you may have approached it wrong by having your blow-up be the first indication that you were upset. 4 months is a long time to be crashing at someone's place, especially if she has a job and can afford to move out. No way would I tolerate an adult doing this to me without chipping in financially. But if this was the first time you expressed your aggravation, you might come off looking like the bad guy here. On the other hand, if you've discussed this with your fiancé several times and the ladies are just ignoring it, I think your outburst was justified. Good luck tonight. Hey, wait a minute. You get the heck off Reddit with your common sense, calm approach, sane suggestions, emotional awareness, reading comprehension, and grammar and punctuation and stuff. How dare you? Now for the mini update. I appreciate the feedback from all of you so far. I do feel guilty and have anxiety for blowing up. I definitely should have just sat down with them and talked it out versus blowing up. I am definitely going to apologize for my behavior when I get home. For awareness to address some questions I saw, I have asked for alone time, and we get some, but not as much as we had before she moved in. Maybe I just missed that. Her sister has always lived near us, so they used to hang out often, and I'd just go play golf or hang out with my friends. I guess I'm just not used to not having the place to ourselves and not getting that alone time anymore. Now for the full update. Hi all, I know a lot of you wanted an update for when I got home last night. To some surprise, at least it seemed like it to most of you, we communicated. And it went well. When I got home, they were both sitting at the table ready to talk. I spoke through my frustrations and built up energy, and my sister-in-law said I was extremely fair. I apologized first for acting like a child and not communicating from the very beginning about a plan for her. Sister-in-law apologized and gave her reasons, not excuses in my book. Details: she was in pain shortly after the divorce and wanted to be with her sister and me since it was the most comfortable situation. My fiancé apologized next and mentioned that she also missed the alone time we used to have, but was making sure she was there for her sister. For arrangements/plans, sister-in-law is now filling out applications for apartments and will be touring this weekend. She got us a full home deep cleaning service and gave my fiancé and me massage gift cards. I did not ask for any of that. After we sat down and talked, sister-in-law then went to the bar to hang out with some of her friends. Then my fiancé and I went out to get all-you-can-eat sushi, my favorite, and she paid to make up for last night's dinner plans. We talked about everything and how we need to communicate more. We're looking to book a little long weekend vacation for Memorial Day and are building out an itinerary. She's a vacation planner, so pretty easy, haha. All in all, everything seems to be more fluid now with all three of us. I truly am the a-hole for not doing this from the very beginning, like most of you mentioned, and I'm glad I got some great advice from a lot of you. Hey, the power of communication wins again. Congrats on owning your response and having a healthy conversation. I agree, but really the situation shouldn't have gone as far as it did. OP's fiancé was torn between the two desires, and then fully invested in one and ignored the other. I'm all for helping people when they need it. But anybody with half a brain could have seen that he was being pushed into being the NPC in his own home. I would have agreed with all this if fiancé hadn't bought takeaway for herself and her sister and forgotten all about OP. It's like she and sister-in-law regressed and were reliving their single days together. She needs to build back trust with OP now and show him that she will prioritize him going forward. Glad everything seems to be working out and that they both realized that you exploding like that was because of bottled up feelings. Wild to see how many posts in the original thread are telling OP to reconsider the marriage and leave his fiancée. Glad OP took the reasonable path instead. Right? I'm like, whoa. If OP didn't say anything before to set some sort of timeline or boundary, then you can't really blame his fiancée and her sister for their behavior because they didn't know it was an issue. Now they know, and they're taking steps to fix it. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not going home during our semester break and letting my family deal with the mess they made? So, for some context, I'm in my second year of college and transferred to a school 2 to 3 hours away from home, so I stay in a boarding house. After my mom passed away a year ago, I took over a lot of household responsibilities, cooking, cleaning, grocery shopping, because, well, someone had to. My older sister is a nursing student with a crazy schedule. My younger sister isn't very independent, and my cousin, who moved in at my dad's request, helps with cooking. But that's about it. At the start of the semester, before I left for school, I made sure the house was spotless. The laundry was done, the fridge was stocked with fruits, veggies, and meal-prepped food, and everything was in order. I figured they'd at least try to maintain it. But no. The first weekend I came back, the house was a disaster. Shoes were scattered everywhere, dishes were piling up, trash was overflowing. Unfinished takeout was rotting in the fridge, and my meal-prepped food completely ignored. I was frustrated but cleaned it up anyway, thinking they were still adjusting. I reminded them, nicely, to at least clean up after themselves. Not because I was a clean freak, but because I want them to live in a clean and healthy environment. It was one of my regrets when my mom died from health complications, and I deeply blamed myself. The next weekend, same mess. And the weekend after that. At that point, I was done. Home was supposed to be a place where I could rest, not somewhere I had to play housekeeper after a long week, so I just stopped going home. I made excuses, school projects, group hangouts, whatever it took. Then semester break came. It was also a big religious holiday where we honor the dead, and family would be coming over. Normally, I'd be the one running around, making sure everything was clean and prepared. But this time, I told them I had papers to finish and wouldn't be coming home on time. In reality, I knew that if I wasn't there, they would have to clean the house themselves. And sure enough, while I was away, I checked our group chat and saw them absolutely panicking. They didn't know where things were, struggled to buy all the food they needed, complained about not having space to prepare food because the table was too cluttered, and even ran out of clean plates. Honestly, I felt satisfied knowing they were struggling. I came home the day after the holiday to spend time with them and visit my mom's grave. As expected, they hit me with, "Oh wow, how convenient that you couldn't come home earlier." But the house? It was cleaner than usual. Not perfect, but better. I know they'll probably slip back into old habits, but at least now they've felt what it's like to handle things without me. Maybe next time they'll think twice before taking it all for granted. So, am I the a-hole for ditching them and making them clean up their own mess? Now for the comments. "Oh wow, how convenient that you couldn't come home earlier." Nah, totally planned. Because if I came home earlier, you'd expect me to clean up after all y'all, and I'm done with that. Laughing at this. But seriously, you need to tell them that you're not going to be coming back just to do cleaning and then follow through. You don't live there. I still have to go back sometimes since I also need some things back home, but I have also mentioned this a few times and discussed with them. You would be the a-hole if you kept cleaning up after them. They're grown-ups, and in the end, it's clear that they can act like grown-ups, not the a-hole. Right, you are not the maid. You are not home to create any of that mess, so why should they expect you to spend your only free time cleaning up after them? You are right, and I don't expect them to do much but just keep up after themselves. This is where you are wrong, OP. You have nothing to expect as you are not in charge. They are. Mostly certainly, your father is. They need to take care of the house. Now, maybe their expectations of cleanliness are below yours, but the household management is no more under your responsibility. Make sure they got the message. Talk to your father. Actually, my father doesn't live with us and has mostly put us in charge about every household stuff. Sorry for not clarifying that in the post. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to take back a gift I gave to my now ex-boyfriend? Here's a quick brief. My ex, 25 male, and I, 21 female, broke up about a month ago after 3 years together. It wasn't a dramatic breakup, more like we had grown apart, and I was tired of feeling like the only one putting effort into the relationship. He wasn't a bad guy, just kind of emotionally lazy, if that makes sense. Anyway, last year for his birthday, I bought him a really nice leather jacket. He had always wanted one, but he never splurged on himself. So I saved up and got him one that cost around $400. He was obsessed with it and wore it constantly. After we broke up, we had the usual awkward period of no contact. Then, out of nowhere, he texted me saying he had some of my things and asked if we could meet up. I agreed, thinking it was just a quick exchange. When we met, he handed me a bag with a couple of random things I had left at his place. Some hair ties, a book, and a hoodie. Then he held up the leather jacket and said, "You should take this back. It doesn't feel right for me to keep it." I laughed a little and told him, "Dude, it was a gift. It's yours." But he kept pushing, saying that wearing it now just reminded him of me and made things weird. I told him he could sell it, donate it, or throw it in a bonfire for all I care. It's his jacket. That's when he got annoying. He started saying that me refusing to take it back was messing with his head and making it harder for him to move on. He said I was being cold and immature for not just taking it back so he wouldn't have to think about me when he saw it. At this point, I was done. I told him straight up that it wasn't my problem. I had already processed the breakup and moved on, and it wasn't my job to manage his emotions anymore. He called me selfish and walked off with the jacket still in his hands. Now, some of my friends think I should have just taken it back to keep the peace. Others think he's being ridiculous, and there are his friends who say that I ruined our relationship for petty reasons. I don't know. It may be a bit too much for me right now. Am I the a-hole for ruining our relationship? My ex-husband did this when I was getting divorced. I told him if I took back the gifts, I was gonna sell them. Then I did it. You didn't have to take it. He was perfectly capable of getting rid of it if he didn't want it. However, you missed out on getting some money back, lol. My thought too. I would have sold it myself, not even given him the option to. Not an a-hole, just an amateur mistake, lol. Take that money and run, girl. Now I understand what you meant when you said he is emotionally lazy. What was really happening was he put his emotional needs on your back and asked you to carry them for him. Like a child to their mother. Ugh, how exhausting, how unattractive. I'm glad you pulled away and broke it off. Well said. Very icky. Very childish. A man-child throwing a tantrum. Last story. Am I the a-hole for leaving my pregnant girlfriend? I, 24 female, and my girlfriend, 24 female, have been together for almost 3 years. My girlfriend has BPD, and if you know anything about it, then you know this relationship has been anything but easy. I've always contemplated leaving, but now it's the straw that broke the camel's back. My girlfriend has an ex, 27 male, that she is still friends with. At first, I was wary of the friendship because of how close they were. Still sharing a bed, he takes her to the spa and gets her nails done. But over time, I stopped caring because my love for her started to dwindle away. I always tried to make things better, but he always drove a wedge between us. Recently, about 4 months ago, we went to a party and he was there. I left early because I wasn't feeling good, and I took the car with the expectation that he was going to drop her off, or she would call me to pick her up because she was drinking. Neither of those happened, and she ended up sleeping over at his place. Fast forward to 2 weeks ago, she has missed her period and has been feeling sick, so she took a pregnancy test. It was positive. I know he's the father, and I can't stay with her. She's calling me an a-hole and a hypocrite because the plan was for us to have children in the future, but obviously I don't want a child under this circumstance. Am I the a-hole for leaving her while she's pregnant? Edit. Just clarifying since I think some people missed that we are or were in a lesbian relationship. Unless I missed something in biology, obviously it is not yours. Not the a-hole. It is completely reasonable to leave someone for cheating. Testing for STIs. If she cheated with her ex, who knows who else she cheated with? Not the a-hole. This relationship was already difficult enough that you were thinking of leaving. You were rapidly falling out of love. Now she's cheated on you and gotten pregnant. If she needs someone to support her through pregnancy and birth and to raise this child, she has the baby daddy. She doesn't need you. Plus, she will cheat again if she gets away with it this time. You may have planned for kids in the future, but that was the future, and I'm sure you had a vision for how that would happen. Adoption or surrogacy most likely, and this wasn't it.